Hey everybody, it's Editor Grant again. You can tell I'm Editor Grant because I'm wearing a cardigan again. So, as promised, this is our first part 2 episode. There's a couple things I want to tell you. One, my mic is still messed up in this recording. I'm so sorry. I'll do better. I repent. The second thing I want to tell you is that Drew's phone freezes, like his video freezes at one point. So we really need to get this Patreon thing going. You know, it's a real shoestring operation over here. Also, I want you to know that at the beginning, we do this like funny close bit because we thought this was going to be one long episode. We didn't know at the time we were going to split it into 2. So we did this really funny little close bit, like, oh, we changed clothes. Sorry about that. I left it in for some reason. Also, you guys remember Marvel movies? Remember when we were all watching Marvel movies? Is that just a straight thing? Did you guys watch it too? I don't know. Anyway, they made it a thing to do post-credit scenes. This episode may have a post-credit scene. Anyway, hope you enjoy it.
Oop, costume change. For those of you listening with your ears, I know. For those of you not watching us, we did just suddenly change clothes. And our background slightly changed. Almost like 12 hours went by. So, hi everyone. Sorry, we did a quick costume change because Grant you have a kid, right? You have more than one?
I have a few. Yeah, my daughter and I were supposed to go see Beetlejuice, and we did, and she loved it and had a great time.
So the beginning of this podcast, the one you're currently listening to, we were saying we might go see Beetlejuice, and now you've seen it. Well, go ahead, give your review. How was it?
Halfway through, it was a movie, and there were a lot of people there. I'll say that. I fell asleep at one point, but I'm 40, and so I do that in every movie now. So
yeah, I get sleepy too. We almost went to see The Front Room last night, but then I got too high. It's like a thriller horror movie starring Brandy.
Yes. So I saw the poster.
Doesn't it look so fun?
When I was walking in, and I looked it up later because I couldn't. I was like, "Is that Brandy?"
It's
okay,
Brandy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah. I'm so glad she's doing well.
Did you see her on? She played Cinderella again on the new Descendants. Did you see that?
No, but I'm glad she's back.
She and the guy who played the prince in Cinderella, they had a daughter, and so in the Descendants, it's about her daughter. But they came back dressed as the couple, and they sang together. And he's still so hot.
I don't remember. Did right-wing conservative Christians, did they get upset that Cinderella was black when that happened?
Yes, of course. I mean, I assume I can only go by what our dad said, and I can't repeat that here because
we
apparently
literally can't. I know
you're not allowed
exactly.
to say slurs. He's very concerned about it. They're
rough.
taking white jobs. They're taking white jobs.
Like mermaids. They're taking white jobs like fairy tale princesses.
Yep.
Mermaids.
A godmother.
Godmother.
A fairy godmother.
I don't remember the outrage. I guess people were so excited about Whitney Houston, right? Like being the godmother. I
remember people making fun of the fact that it was, what did they call it then? Colorblind casting. That Whoopi Goldberg and Victor Garber had an Asian son. Like I remember people, which is. Come on, it is funny to think that that's what a gay man and a Whoopi Goldberg would make. That's so funny.
And a Whoopi Goldberg. I was wondering.
I don't know what I don't know what she identifies. I can't tell. I think she's straight. No, I think she's straight.
Identify as Whoopi Goldberg? Hey, if you identify as Whoopi Goldberg, would you please comment? Put that in the comments. We'd love to meet you.
Listen,
Didn't
after
she just
this
release
week,
a memoir that flopped or something?
Okay, well, don't badmouth Whoopi Goldberg. Did you
No,
know that Sister Act was written for Bette Midler?
No.
What a bummer that would have been.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's just a perfect movie. It's a perfect movie.
Yeah.
And Sister Act 2, there's no way Bette Midler could do an inner city hip hop festival.
Okay, don't limit Bette Midler. I mean, Bette Midler could do it.
That's true. She's dynamic.
She could do it.
She's dynamic.
I've been listening to a lot of Bette Midler recently. This is not a joke. Because Piper has started her new theater, and so they have to audition again. And so the song she picked to audition with was "God Help the Outcast" from Hunchback.
Yeah, that's not a Bette Midler song.
Bette Midler covered it. On the soundtrack, they have a Bette Midler version. And so she's been in the car. She won't sing in front of anyone except me. And so when we went to the movies...
Are you a safe space or some fucked up shit like that?
I'm her favorite. Drew, I can't even... And I know my wife listens to this. Angela, I know you're listening to this right now, and you know it's true.
You suck.
She
and
loves
you
me
suck.
so much more than she loves Ange.
You suck.
You suck, Ange. No, please don't say it. You don't suck. But no, I am absolutely her favorite. And so when we're in the car, she says, can I practice my song? If there was a way I could record it, I wish she would let me.
You can.
I love her sweet little voice, and she just sings.
Do you want, that's actually a song I used to sing a lot in drag, and I have a few videos of me. So if you want her to, yeah, I used to sing that song all the time.
That is funny. There's a part right in the middle where they go,
I ask for wealth, I ask for fame. Yeah.
That's it. So I do that part. Whenever it gets there, I just go, I ask for wealth. And she loves it. She laughs every time.
I used to sing it. I used to have this show in Chicago called Darby Wins a Talent Show where I would have people on and they would compete for second and third place, and I would automatically win every time.
It was a great show. First season of that show was dope, and then it went off the rails. And
well, it did get canceled.
Like Darby didn't care.
It did get canceled, and then it got
pulled
into Bar Redacted. And then I canceled it just for my own well-being. But
well, you got canceled,
but I used to sing God Help the Outcasts before I would give out the second and third place awards.
That's
like that they're all losers. Isn't that funny?
That is
very
funny.
Trump, very demure.
That's
funny. I love that song.
Anyway, Bette Midler. So we're back. So we're talking about our
4th of July.
4th of July. Salute, Drew. Thank you. Hey,
and I'm proud to be an American.
Respect
where at least I know I'm gay.
Respect cisgender people.
Girl, I am cisgendered. I'm sissy-gendered.
Anyway, we were talking about how when we talk to people about the way we grew up, I know you're not frozen. I know this is a funny gag.
I love these nails. I feel so
nice.
dainty.
Very demure. So the people don't believe the way that we grew up. They don't believe it's like real.
Right.
So I just want to like share our 4th of July memories. So Drew,
why 4th of July? Because Christian nationalism.
Because Christian nationalism. I want you to right now, when you think about the way we grew up, what's the first thing that comes to mind when we talk about Christian nationalism? We talk about 4th of July. What's your first memory?
My first memory is a gigantic choir of people singing.
Typically, choirs are made of people
singing "God Bless America" or something, like singing some big patriotic thing. There's a band. There's an orchestra, not a band. There's an orchestra sitting on the lawn in front of this gorgeous, gigantic, what you think is an airplane hangar, but it's actually just the lobby of the church. And there is a woman, I can't remember her name. Remember the lady that looked like Sandy Patty that sang Sandy Patty? But wasn't Sandy Patty.
Yeah,
she's singing, and it's hot.
Sandra Patty.
Yeah, good old Sandra.
Sandra
and
Patty.
We're all sitting on this giant lawn
Sandy
around this beautiful.
Would that be a good drag name? Sandy Petty.
I would put money on it that already exists. I would put money on it.
It's good though.
I would put money on it. It is good.
I think. Am I dragging?
It's a very specific crowd. Yeah.
Oh,
that's your
it's a very
name.
small group of people that would get that.
But
sorry,
it works.
I interrupted you.
That's okay. You do that a lot. I never
idea.
interrupt. I never will.
I've never seen you do it.
Anyway, we're sitting on this lawn with like picnic stuff, and we're sitting around these gorgeous manicured like lakes, like man-made lakes to celebrate God's beauty. Man made a lake. And then the largest fireworks show to this day I think I've ever seen.
Truly, it was awesome.
Yeah.
And it was because they shot it across the street. Our brother actually did it.
Our brother, whose birthday was July 4th.
July 4th. That's
was
right,
in charge of doing the fireworks for this mega church.
His birthday is still July 4th. I don't know if you know.
Oh, I didn't know it. I haven't kept up with him. I didn't know he was still alive. That's weird.
Still July 4th. But yeah, so they shot him right across the street, so it was right over our heads. It really was fantastic. Like the fireworks
really was
fantastic.
It really was.
But when I think of 4th of July at our church, I don't. That's a great point. But immediately,
did I do it wrong?
No.
Oh, I
what
had the
immediately
wrong
comes
answer.
to my mind is music, and I think of George Washington. Thomas Jefferson.
Jefferson.
First Chief Justice John Jay. These
Yes.
names are synonymous with the founding of the USA. The only hope for America
So I have
is Jesus.
what do you call them? Goosebumps.
The
Jamie
only
Parker.
hope. We call those freedom
Was it Jamie
bumps.
Parker?
Yes, and so that song was amazing, and they said that we need to. This was in the song for real. He would talk, not rap.
This
he
was
would talk the verses.
Yeah.
And then sing it by
At
a
church.
Christian artist.
At church. This is church.
A Christian artist named Carmen. If
Carmen.
You want to look it up. Carmen has the best music videos.
He really does.
Super high production, big story. One of my favorites
It's all
called Satan
very-
Bite the Dust. Like old Western.
It's all very dramatic.
theme.
It's all very mask for mask. It's all very like. Ooh,
What is mask for mask?
Oh man, I'm so glad you asked. It's. I got to be honest. It's certainly not for me. I never fit that bill.
Okay.
But it means masculine looking for masculine. So on like gay dating or hookup apps, it'd be like mask for mask.
Cusco.
Listen, when I was a beautiful young twink with only years of disappointment ahead of me, there were a few times when I was deep in the sex addiction where I would have done anything to have sex with a stranger so that they could validate me for about 10 to 15 seconds. And
it always gets so
whenever
sad
we
when you talk about this.
Yeah, it was hard. It was really sad. But when they would inevitably do, because it was a question, especially during my days, it was a question that came up a lot. Mask for mask, are you mask, whatever.
In the 90s.
I only tried it a couple times. I only lied a couple times because inevitably
you would answer like that you were masculine.
Yes.
And then you would show up. They'd be like, oh, this is going to be great.
No, what I would do, I had a plan. You had a
football jersey. That's why you asked for that football jersey that one Christmas. I was like, what is that about?
And make sure there's a lot of mud on it. And make sure there's so much mud on it. No, but like
you went through a cigar phase for a while. I guess that's what
my idea was I wouldn't say a word, and which honestly with gay hookups that was pretty easy to do. And I would walk slow. I would remember to walk slow, and I would kind of keep my head down like this, and I'd be like, But inevitably, in the middle of the issue that I was having, mentally,
let's do this. Turn me over.
Inevitably, I'd be like.
Pick me up.
We'd be in the middle of it, and I'd go, it would be over. I only tried it a couple times, and I never did it successfully, ever.
That's pretty funny.
But that's internalized homophobia. People who want the mask for mask thing, they need to work through that. I used to think it was like I was wrong, but no, I wasn't.
Good transition back to internalized homophobia. Back to Carmen. So look him up on YouTube. It's worth every minute of your time. In fact,
give them a specific song. Give them a specific song so that they're not lost in the Carmen of it all.
Well, I mean, if you want to do this is God in America Again is the song we're talking about. You can check that one out.
God in America.
But if you're looking for a music video that is going to rival Thriller, Michael Jackson's Thriller, then go for Satan Bite the Dust. It's a whole Western story.
Great. It's pretty great.
He's fighting demons, and he hits one. He says El Kabong when he hits a guy with a guitar, and he says El Kabong, play that in your temple. It is bananas. It's bananas crazy, and just go check it out. It's awesome. Anyway, in that song,
for that music video, is there a version with? I will have everyone know, and I'm not making this up. Christians had their own Weird Al. And it's the guy who wrote Mary, Did You Know? Mark Lowry, who wrote Mary, Did You Know? Was the Weird Al of Christian music.
We had his VHS tapes of him
covering.
So Michael W. Smith had a song called My Place in This World, where the chorus was,
changed it to
My Face in This World. My Face in This World.
My Face in This World. He got a face jobs.
He changed his face. That was the whole change. So the line again, my place in this world. He just went face, and we were like, "Give me that VHS tape." And
he was doing. I feel like
for money.
Can I say this? And this is controversial yet brave. As a homosexual in that environment, I honestly think had we been born 20 years earlier, I could have been a Mark Lowry. I could have been a confirmed bachelor in the church for my entire life, and like the clown that was a little gay, but everyone was okay with it because he didn't act on it. I just have the biggest heart
There were
for Mark Lowry.
in our
I just have the biggest. I'm just so sad for him because he is, again, he's so fucking talented. Except for my face in this world, that wasn't funny. But he's a great singer. He wrote "Mary, Did You Know?"
So on those albums, on those VHS tapes of those covers, in between the songs, they would show clips of his stand-up comedy, and his stand-up comedy was him repurposing old jokes we've all heard. That was his stand-up. It was just him being silly.
Okay, maybe he wasn't talented. I thought he was.
Do you remember his?
Remembering, maybe he wasn't.
His back into a mountain joke. Mom and Dad would die on that one. He said he was afraid of flying, but he said, "But I always sit right in the back because I've never seen a plane back into a mountain." And then he would turn around and just shake his butt like that. You can't see it, but I'm shaking my butt right now.
Okay, now I turn back around. He was very talented. He's very talented. I don't know, just seeing like gay people get trapped in those situations and realizing that like I did that to myself. Like I chose to go to a Southern Baptist college. I could have gotten out of it at that moment, but I sunk myself deeper into it. And I honestly just think it's because of the time I grew up. I think 20 years ago, I mean, Drew,
I don't want to give details because this person, not that anyone listening to this knows this person, but I worked with someone, you met him, who is still working in the church, is still a bachelor, and has had the same male roommate for 20 years. And you know exactly
what I'm talking about. Him?
Yeah, the first time you visited that church, I've been in several, so you don't know which one it is, but the first time you visited that church, you're like, what's up with that gay guy? And I was like, yeah, he definitely is. And they own a home together. They're roommates who bought a house together. They live near Mom and Dad. They live in the same neighborhood. And so
that's so sad.
Yeah, and he's still in the church, still a bachelor. And every time you see this in the church, you always see the forever unlucky in love. There's a forever unlucky in love woman who's the same age as him that everyone's trying to push them together. And she desperately wants it to happen, but it won't happen. And there was one of those as well. There was one of those in the church as well who she would, wherever he was, she was there. They would try to hang out together, and she desperately wanted it to happen. And
poor Barbara.
Girl, you
put your records on, girl. Wow, bless her heart.
Yeah. Anyway, that was a crazy thing we got
Sorry
off on.
about that.
So back to Carmen, the lyric that sticks in my brain because I think it saved America was this, and we heard it in church all the time, was we need to stop handing out condoms and start handing out Bibles in school. Now listen, when he would say that line, everyone would stand up and cheer. I shit you not. Thousands of people. Drew, am I lying? Thousands of people.
No, I'm frozen again, but that is my reaction. I am feeling this way right now. Oh my God. That is so funny because I got to tell you, as a teenager going through my own sexual problems, I tried to use the Bible as a condom, okay? And I'm going to be honest with you.
Problems? I think you mean sexual opportunities. Opportunities for growth.
You know what? Now that I just need to recontextualize everything that's ever happened to me. And now I realize
God doesn't waste your suffering. If he's in charge all the time, then he's in charge in the good times and the bad times. It was an opportunity to pray.
And you know what? I want to thank him because I did get really good at blowjobs. And I wouldn't have done that had I not been hated by everyone around me. That's fun.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Because you wouldn't have learned it at home. You never paid attention when Mom talked to us about blowjobs.
I'm going to give God a blowjob. I'm going to say thank you. I'm going to say thank you with all of my things.
I'm kind of new to this not believing stuff, so there's still stuff like in me, and like those statements, they do something to me.
There's stuff in him too, and I'm trying to get it out with my mouth.
I was like, oh, fuck. And now I'm like, oh.
There's stuff in him that I'm going to pull out with my mouth.
I get it. I get what you're saying. There's
stuff in him, you see?
Yeah. Well, you know what, Drew? You know what I say to that? We need to stop handing out condoms and start handing out Bibles in school. The only hope for America is him.
Okay, but there's a lot of sex in the Bible. The
of our
Bible in a
ways.
pinch can get you really
Stand
horny.
firm and say. So
I'll say it.
So truly, a story we were taught as a kid, like on what you just said, a story we were taught as a kid that is so fucked up, but it wasn't taught the true way. So you have a story of King David, who is called a man after God's own heart, right? Like, so King of Israel, chosen by God, chosen.
David.
He was just a David. He was a normal. By the way, she was amazing in Beetlejuice. She was so good.
Catherine O'Hara?
So
she's
good.
She's one of the best talents in the world.
She's unbelievable. She's amazing. Anyway,
I
King
think
David.
she's beautiful too. I love that she hasn't gotten any work done. I think she looks great.
She looks so good. She looks so good.
Yeah.
In Beetlejuice, that was
I love
immediately
her.
what I thought. I was like, wow, she looks fantastic. Anyway,
She's beautiful.
She's great. She's wonderful talent. So, King David, man after God's own heart, chosen by God to be the king and all this stuff. There's this story, if you guys don't know it, of Bathsheba. So here's the story. David is supposed to be at war. The Bible says it's a time when kings go to war. So, war season. And so he's not. He's neglecting his responsibilities. And it says that he looks out from the palace and he sees Bathsheba bathing and he thinks she's beautiful. And so he brings her to his palace.
What do you mean?
And so, hang on.
Did he just yell out the window and say, "Hey, wet bitch"?
Let me tell you. So let me tell you the way it's been told to us, and then we'll talk about what really happened. So the way it's been told to us is brought her to the palace. They slept together. She got pregnant, and then he basically tried to trick her husband. Brought her husband, who was a soldier, home from battle, and tried to trick him into sleeping with his own wife, so that he would think the baby was his. The man refused because he's like, look, if my men are out in battle, I'm not gonna be at home with my wife. He slept on the doorstep of David's palace rather than go home and be with his wife. And so David finally just said, let's just kill him. So send him to the front line, gave orders to abandon him on the front line, and he was murdered. And then he took Bathsheba as one of his wives. Now, that's the story. And we're like, and David repented and turned his heart back to God, and God killed their baby as punishment. And so, and like that's their story. But listen.
Oh no.
She was bathing where she was supposed to be bathing. The king raped her. That's the story. David raped her and then had her husband killed, murdered her husband to cover up the rape. And then he said, yes. I'm sorry, which, by the way, the only reason he said it was because a prophet of God had been told he did it. So the prophet, confronted him, was like, you fucking killed, you impregnated this woman and killed her husband. And he was like, I'm sorry. I made an oopsie daisy. I'm King David. I don't know. I'm just a baby.
Was he wearing a fedora at the time?
He was.
I'm willy sorry.
I'm willy sorry. She was widowy, naked with her boobies out.
So naked.
We had sex. So anyway, he fucking raped her. That's the story. That's in the Bible. That's a story that we were taught when we were kids as what was look, David's at fault, but what was she wearing? What was Bathsheba wearing? Nothing. She's taking a bath. Why was he looking at her?
A bath. But
and then the idea that it could be consensual. He's the king. He raped her. Anyway.
Grant, Jesus Christ. All of those people were made up. Chill. Do you think David was a real person? Was he a real person? Is there evidence to suggest?
Yeah, I mean, there's scholarly evidence that he was, but there's also scholars who believe he's not. When I was in college, one of the first things that was like a dissenting idea that I was presented with was that David may not have been real.
Is that the same one with the little Goliath problem?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, big Goliath problem? Oh, well then, yeah, everything that he ever did was made up. But I believe the rape.
The rape, somehow he wasn't real. The rape was real. Because you know why? I believe women. So they sang that song. Do you remember the song Step in Time?
Step in time, step in time, step in time, step in time, never need a reason. From Mary Poppins?
No, 4th of July. Step in time, Army! You remember that?
Yes.
Step in time,
explain
Army.
Describe.
Step in time. This was during a church service. They would come out and sing this song, Step in Time. And they would sing, he'd be like, step in time, Army! And he'd call out a branch of the military from the ceiling of the sanctuary someone would rappel down, just drop out and rappel down in full fatigues. And they'd march out all these flags.
So
and
fun.
Then they'd be like, step in time, Navy, step in time, Marines. And the room was filled with people, thousands of people. So you had people who had families serving those branches, or you had people in those branches, and they would lose their shit like they were at a pep rally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'd be like 7-time Army, and people would just jump up and be like, fucking Army, let's go! Like, they would lose their mind. And that was in our
so
church.
Exciting. It was
It
so
really
exciting.
was, though.
It did make me want to serve.
Exciting.
And girl, I haven't stopped serving since. Okay, but to be fair, they're all in their little outfits. And
uniforms.
They're all doing the same choreography.
Yeah, I think those are called formations.
And that's theater, Mama. That's Broadway. That's theater. That's opening night.
Theater. The most expensive theater there is.
Loved it. It was so fun.
It was.
And you got to forget all about, all the killing and all of that. And it did. There were times, though, that because sometimes when they would rappel down, usually there'd be like a few people under him. And so when he would rappel down, suddenly he'd be with all of his friends again. Yeah. And I did want them all to hug and kiss.
It was a nice little reunion.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Hey, can I ask you a question that's, it's a little off topic of this, but it's still about plays at the church. Every Easter we would do a passion play. And so it's like Passion is like, it's the last week of Jesus' life. There was always a scantily clad, muscular demon possessed man called Legion. Did you like that?
Horny.
Did it make you horny?
Yes.
Now that I think about it, I can see why you would be.
Yes.
You'd like that.
Yeah, the demon man was always muscular. But I will say there was one year where the music director's son was allowed to play Jesus. However, the music director's son...
I saw him in... Did I tell you I saw him coming back from L.A.?
Yes. Yes, you did.
I did tell you that. Okay, yeah. He's still ripped.
He's humongously muscular. So seeing an incredibly muscular man nailed to the cross was quite a horny experience. And you know what? I credit that with why I'm super into bondage. I think it was seeing that man strapped to the cross.
Yeah, he was ripped up. Every other year it had been the same person, and he was like doughy.
He was doughy.
The guy that played Jesus before.
He had a great face.
And then he got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And so then they were like, all right, the cross is not structurally sound anymore.
Yeah.
And so they got that really muscular guy. But you can't have a guy up there with cum gutters. You know what I mean? You know, the little...
So hot.
Right? You can't have that and for us to be focused on our sins, you know?
I was focused on a specific sin during that moment.
I know, it made you sin. So
what was he wearing? That's what I need to ask. What was he wearing?
We had some really incredible productions.
We did.
Around
Imagine all the people that those productions could have fed.
We did feed them spiritually.
Oh, that's true. We did. I do think for every gigantic Broadway level play that we would put on multiple times a year, I do think there was one night where they would bus in poor people to come see the show for free. Because again, those weren't free. And then...
We wouldn't feed them.
We would let them watch. They could watch, and then we'd bust them back, get them out of the place.
That's actually true. That's 100% true. They would go to the poorest parts of Memphis with buses and pick them up and be like, come watch all of our stuff. And then I'm sure they had security around them. I'm sure they were being watched.
And I don't fully
load them back up on
remember
the bus,
this in the middle of a play. I do remember this happening during some special event in the church. Like, I don't remember exactly what it was, but I remember once they stood them all up and we clapped. Like, they stood them all up as like, joining us from blah, blah, blah. We have brought them here tonight. And we all got to clap for ourselves, the white saviors. Because they were always brown.
It was like it was like our own little petting zoo of pretending we cared.
Jesus,
it was like, hey, look, but don't worry, they can't get to you.
Yeah, but don't worry,
they're in this section.
We have
here.
ushers lining the aisles so that they can't escape. Oh God.
Yeah, don't worry about it. But don't you think that
if our church wanted to be like America, don't you think we were like America? We would spend all this money on military production and not help people, right?
Yeah.
Like our military industrial complex is the reason we don't have health care. It's the reason we don't there's so
Well,
many people unhoused.
you could really.
It's very American.
It's their fault, though. They could lift themselves up by their. Well, they don't have boots. By
That's a really good
their
point.
dirty socks.
So, Drew, can we
Yeah.
talk about some of the more sinister sides of the Christian nationalist
I'm-
part of our upbringing in church?
I'm interested to hear what you think is sinister, because I don't see anything wrong with anything that has happened.
So-
Now that I've recontextualized.
How old were we when we were on the side of the road after church holding pro-life signs?
Holding posters.
How old were
Holding
we?
posters of dead fetus tissue.
While we were wearing our pleated khakis and our suede shoes.
7.
Yeah, that's probably right. Somewhere around 7. We were 7 years old
Yeah.
on the side of the road
Yeah.
after church,
Yep.
holding up these signs,
Yep.
these pro-life signs.
Pro-life signs. Pictures
Fucking
of like
crazy.
fetuses.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, the signs we were holding weren't fetuses. The church had these standard white signs with blue letters because it had to match the church. Like, it was like, these are Bellevue signs.
Oh, I forgot. They had their own
remember that?
branding.
Do you remember that?
Okay, now that's cunt.
But when
yeah.
we went out
I
there-
loved that color. It was like a teal.
It was
It was like a
cunt.
teal.
I used it right. Yes.
And the entire church was carpeted
Teal.
in teal carpet.
Yeah.
How incredible is that?
It's
okay,
all
I
red
have to
now.
say. Well, red with the
burgundy.
blood of the lamb.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And all those people
I
we
loved
bussed
that.
away.
I mean, I didn't love the protesting.
But
I
we
did
had our
love the
own signs. So
colors.
when we got out there to protest, we weren't the only ones there. So the people with the mangled fetus photos, they were there too. But we showed up with our Bellevue branded signs. Bellevue Baptist Church, if you want to look it up. With our Bellevue Baptist Church signs.
They weren't with us. I remember us being those people. That wasn't us.
I mean, no,
Oh.
they were with us in the sense
Okay.
that we were all protesting together. But the church handed
Sure.
out their own.
Didn't supply dead baby
Yes.
stuff.
If you
Okay.
wanted your own, you had to bring your own dead baby stuff. It was BYODBS. By the way, there's no one there where Drew is right now. I just want you to know. He is, again, he's switching
I
medication.
was on camera.
He's switching medication right now, and he's just, I don't know.
I was looking at
what he
Alexis. I
thinks.
was tonguing her from afar.
Alexis actually isn't there either. I don't know, but that's okay.
She is. She's staying with us. We're having a heat wave, a tropical heat wave.
What do you mean? Is it hot out there?
It's been like 105,
Oh.
110.
Oh, it is. It's 88
Yeah.
here. I guess that's better. What?
It's a dry
Does
heat.
she not? Oh, I hate it when you say that. Is she not? She doesn't have AC.
She has one little air conditioning unit in her entire place, and it is working overtime. And the coldest she could get it in the heat wave was like 81. That's the coldest it would get. Yeah. So we've been having like a few days of sleepover.
cool.
It's been really
I
fun.
bet that is fun.
Well, because
She's
sorry for those
Taskmaster.
who have no idea who this is. Alexis is my coworker, and she has recently been in relationship. And so one thing that we've been doing is we've been having like couples date nights, and we've hung out with the boyfriend. Grant, I can't wait for you to meet him. I think you will love him. He's just this cute little nerdy guy with a mustache.
Those are my favorite.
You'll love
kind.
him. He's so nice.
People with mustaches.
I know.
Are the cute little nerdy ones.
Yeah, they're great together. It's fun.
Alexis is great. She's the best. And I think you need to say more nice things.
I
about
disagree
her.
with that part.
So that was sinister, I thought, obviously. We also were told to constantly be praying for the president, but we were only told that when the president was a Republican. Do you remember
Yeah.
that?
We never prayed for Bill Clinton.
Never.
Unfortunately.
Never. I think it would have done a lot of good.
Bummer.
You know, when I think back on it,
Yeah.
I think it really would have done a lot of good.
Honestly, I think it could have helped him, I don't know, have more Bathsheba.
But if you guys
only had
go
one.
watch, if you guys go watch the God and Country documentary, you look more into Christian nationalism. I want to let you know this is not a megachurch phenomenon. This is in all churches of all sizes. It's in the evangelical church. Every church I've been a part of has had a brand of this.
I'm so sorry.
It is everywhere. And I had a conversation with someone just a couple of days ago where they said, well, what's the big deal about Christian
Brag.
nationalism? Thank you. I do talk to people from time to time. And Drew, here's my thought. I'd love to hear your opinion on this. Is I think when we talk about Christian nationalism, I think that there is a spectrum, right? Again, because of the vaccine, some people are now Christian nationalists,
gay.
and there's a spectrum for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think
Sure.
January 6th is like the top of that spectrum, right? The people who are willing.
What's that? Is that someone's birthday?
Yeah.
What happened?
It's actually, it was George Washington's birthday, and a bunch of his friends got together and they had a party at the Capitol. So
I keep hearing about it, and it sounds so fun.
well, I FaceTimed you while I was there. That's how you heard about it. Remember?
Yeah.
So
I sent that to the government.
I brought you that thing from Nancy Pelosi's office. So that's extreme, right? That's extreme Christian nationalism. But on the other side, like you also have people who it's quiet, it's internal, but they don't believe that you can be a Christian and be a Democrat. They don't believe that you can not
So they're
be
correct.
some crazy proud American right wing conservative and be a Christian. So you have this spectrum, and I think the problem with it, there's multiple problems, but there's two main things is like, because you go, well, what does it matter if someone just internally is like they conflate their private beliefs with their politics? Like, what's the problem with that? There is no problem with that as long as it remains private. And what I mean by that is, remember we talked about a couple weeks ago that when you believe that you're the savior of somebody, you become rude. The ends will always justify the means. That's why people are getting arrested at school board meetings, because if they're going to bring the kingdom of heaven to America, and that's the goal, they want America to look like the kingdom of heaven. And who defines the kingdom of heaven? They do. And so they need to put everyone in line. It's this theocracy in their mind. So that's why like school board meetings are a mess. That's why people like parents and children are not talking to each other anymore, right? Because this is a fight
now.
for the soul of America, right? And it's not.
That's sad. That's sad. I don't know who wouldn't talk to their parents, but it sounds like they need help.
But it's
they need mental illness.
Yeah, it's
help.
But it's
with
sinister.
Pills.
It's sinister because
well,
when I talked to Dad not too long ago about this, about like, Dad, why do you care? Why do you care about any of this? And he was like, son, I'm posting on Facebook. It's for your kids. I'm doing it for your kids. And I was like, yeah, thank you. The school called and they said that they're gonna make changes because of your Facebook post. But like, that's what I'm talking about, is that I'm telling my dad, like, this is causing a problem between me and you relationally, because you're being offensive, you're being obtuse, you're being rude, but the ends justify the means. Like he's a Christian, therefore America must look this way, and I have to make it look this way. I'm the savior of America, right? And so it breaks relationships. It's like destroying relationships. And so anyway, sorry, go ahead.
But it's also, I think it can also be tracked back to growing up in our megachurch. A big thing that we were taught to honestly look forward to was the persecution we were going to face. We were going to be just like Jesus.
And we were told we were being persecuted currently. That you're being persecuted.
That we were always being persecuted. But as you move out further into the world, you will be persecuted even more. So like evangelical Christians have this kink for fucking persecution. They so desperately want to be
persecuted. I was like,
wronged.
Oh, yeah, persecute me more.
Right though? I mean, I remember thinking, this is so fucked up.
I've
but
been so good.
As
persecute
kids,
me more. I'm a good boy.
After Columbine,
whoa,
they wrote that. I know. I'm taking a left. Taking a hard left. Oof. But the story we were told, and I honestly don't know.
It's not true.
What the actual story is.
Are you talking about the like?
Yes.
Believing God? It's not true. It's been debunked.
Yes.
But go ahead.
So the story we were told was that the shooters were going up to kids and going, "Do you believe in God?" And if they said yes, they'd shoot them in the face. And if they said no, they'd leave them alone, which didn't happen. But it was a story that got passed along about this one girl who did die. And they wrote a book, and it was called She Said Yes or something. I can't remember. Anyway, but people like we talked about that bitch forever,
And we talked about
we all wanted to be her. Like, would you do that?
It's true.
And I would have these like, I would have this like theater in my mind. I would act out these moments of like, what an incredible, I would be such a hero if I was ever allowed to be killed for my beliefs. I don't know. It's so weird.
It also gave
So I
me
think-
like a piece of security too, because I was like, surely if I die like that, I'm going to heaven. Because even though I had prayed the prayer, I was
sure.
always still afraid. I was like, well, maybe I didn't mean it.
We were
maybe
always
I'm not
afraid.
good enough. And so I was like,
Yeah,
but if I take a bullet for
that's-
Jesus, he's gonna like let me in, right? Like, I'm definitely in.
That's what's so dark about this, is that I feel like most of us had that exact same feeling, because none of us felt like we had done enough to get into heaven, because you were always wrong and everything you did was wrong.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, at least if I get shot in the face for God, surely he'll
Have
let
you
me
thought
into
about?
heaven.
Have you thought about like what that? I'm sure you have. What has that done with our relationships with people? Like I desperately want to know that I'm loved, and that I'm secure in that love. You know what I mean? And I like, because my whole life I was chasing this like, please love me to an extent, like you just said. Like, if I could just get shot in the face for you, I'd feel so much better if I could just get shot in the face for you. Like, that's so fucking crazy, but it's true. And so just think about like people in it right now, and just so insecure. I mean, golly, what an unhealthy mindset.
That was you met your wife in high school, so you didn't have to go through like adult dating with that kind of view.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was so desperate for anyone to give me any sort of validation, because I felt so worthless. But also, I was desperate to be in a relationship, because I thought, if I can just be in the relationship, I'll do whatever I have to do. Like, I can, like, whatever you want me to be, I can do it. I can make it happen. Just, I need someone to validate me. And it was honestly because we were raised in a place where, like, you were never good enough.
Yeah.
You were always wrong.
Yeah.
And sure, are boners evil? Absolutely.
I mean,
And
nothing worse.
I do regret all the boners.
Yeah.
But you would be wrong for just being alive. You'd be wrong for just having a thought. Like, a thought could send you to hell. Isn't that crazy?
I mean, we were told
What a
there's
weird
a
way
scripture
to
that says to
live.
capture all your thoughts and make them obedient to Christ. So literally, we were policing our own thoughts. So think about this: a Christian, and this happens. This happens.
I can't think
and this
about it.
happened.
I can't.
Think about this: is that we could be sitting perfectly still and beating ourselves up. We could be sitting perfectly still and just be overwhelmed with shame and guilt because something came in our brain, because we were 13 and everything looked kind of like a boob to me, and so I was horny all the time, and so I could just be sitting there and all of a sudden just be like, tits, and be like, oh fuck, I'm sorry, I'm the worst, maybe I'm not a Christian, maybe I need to get baptized again. Like, that was,
well, to be
that was
fair,
it.
you did owe the apology, because you wouldn't say your thoughts out loud until you get to the word
I
tits.
would just say tits.
So you would just be sitting there silently,
say
and
it.
then you would just say tits.
Tits.
And that's,
Tits.
yeah, that's sinful.
But
That's
but
sinful.
our parents just
Well-
believed I had Tourette's, so it worked out. I was like, it's medical, mom. Tits. Anyway,
Tits.
Drew, I've really enjoyed the conversation. I've enjoyed reminiscing. Guys, this is real. The way we grew up is real. These churches still exist, and if you grew up like that, well, then you know.
Or if you're currently in it, we're so sorry.
Why are you listening to this? Are you currently in it and listening to this?
Probably for comfort. Can you imagine if there was this podcast out
you're
there
talking
for
about-
young queer people?
Okay, you're talking about like young queer people. I thought you were like there's
Yeah.
like a 30-year-old who's just all up in it, and he's like, but you know what? I'm gonna listen to this podcast too. Like, okay, I get what you're saying.
Maybe.
I get what you're saying.
Maybe it's the Mark Lowrys of the world. We're doing this
Mark,
for Mark
we love
Lowry.
you, dude. We love you, Mark. Just be yourself.
My face
Let it
in
out.
this world. All right, well, we need to go
Plays over
because
back into a
this has
mouth.
gone on for far too long. This has gone far too long. And you have to, I think, go see Beetlejuice again. So we gotta
I do.
scoot.
I've got the evening showing.
Thank you, everyone, so much for listening. I'm sorry we didn't get to voicemails today, but
America.
Grant had a lot of thoughts
America.
about America, and we got to let him get it out. So, actually, this will be released the day before September 11th.
Oh, it will? We didn't share any of our memories. Next time.
I remember they fell. All right, we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye. Was again. This
Sorry,
is
1
during
second.
church.
We have to we didn't finish yesterday. No, you're fine. He had to go
Who
to
is it?
movies. It's Alexis.
I want to say hi to Alexis. I love Alexis.
Why are you wearing a hat?
I got my curlers on.
Hey, put your curlers on. What is it going on? Okay, go ahead. Sorry.